Okay. Hi, everyone. So let's start the meeting. We have a few things to cover. Actually, I think we'll have an interesting meeting. And we have here Patrick and Quentin, who it's really great that you joined us. It will be probably very useful for us to learn from you how you're using NooBaa and what we can do better for you. So there's a topic you discussed with Genya, and there's another one you just discussed with Liran about MongoDB. Was it the URL? Was that the other one? Yeah. Right. So that's that. The other three items here are I think maybe I'll change order. We'll see, because I think the Postgres updates. So depending on Genya, if it's going to be long, maybe I'll push it after I kind of talk about NSFS for a few minutes. But if it's short, maybe we start with that. Then I'm going to show you what I did with NSFS and what we can look forward to do with it. And if we get to it, and I'm not sure, Liran, and we need to pick it up, but I'm not sure if today, we're going to follow up the cleanup work there. Okay. Any other topics anybody wants to put in the agenda?
Yeah, if we have time, I do want to raise the Vault integration and the options we have regarding where do we keep all the information that we need to connect to Vault. We had several options, and since we have Patrick and Quentin here, I think it would be nice to get inputs, if they have any, to get more ideas beside the ones within the team.
Yeah, I'm adding it. Okay. So, Jenny or Romy, is that?
Yeah, you can write us both, me and Rami. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So let's. Anything else? I see. Are we still having issues with the sound, Patrick?
I think Patrick probably has some issues. Maybe he will try to reconnect or something.
Oh, I see.
So I should be back here now.
Yeah, yeah. You're welcome to impersonate. So yeah, I the main thing I wanted to start with, I think, is from maybe you guys, if you feel comfortable, just giving us a quick, just overview of what you're doing with NooBaa today, or what is your kind of interest points, and then we can dive into these questions that we have.
Yeah, so for a little context, we are from Rohde & Schwarz, and we have a hybrid cloud called RNS Cloud. And we have our public cloud is hosted on Azure, and our private cloud is on bare metal with vSphere. And we wanted an abstraction layer for our storage. So we didn't want to use Azure Blob directly, but we wanted a storage gateway. And then we stumbled across NooBaa, and it seemed a perfect fit because we're already using OKD. And now we are mostly using it on-prem, but in the future we will use it again in the public cloud. And we are mainly using namespace buckets and using the trigger functions quite excessively.
Very nice. And so how did you came up to use the triggers? So you are the admins of this cluster, and you are creating automations for your tasks, or is it something that you delegate somehow to workflows?
So we are, as the cluster, we are a bigger team. Just Quentin and I are responsible for the NooBaa and for the whole object store. And we operate it and we provide it to others, and also have internal customers which need to provision automatically namespace buckets.
Got it. Okay. And you use triggers as well for objects, for object events as well?
Yeah, yeah. Right. So currently I'm working on a provisioner which will create a a bucket in our local S3 backend, which we're using Minnow right now. Then we'll create a namespace resource via NooBaa, and we'll create a namespace bucket, permit some users on it, and add a function to it.
Nice. Any other questions from the team? Anything you are interested in particular? Okay. So let me add some words before we dive into the triggers. So first of all, I think your use case is great because it really is something that we created NooBaa to solve. So I think first of all, there's a good fit. So anything you kind of stumble on, it's interesting for us because it will teach us on the challenges that are in the field for you. So I think that's feel free to reach us out, whether GitHub issues or Slack. We should be available on both. And if we drop any ball, feel free to remind us, and I think we can work together on that. So I hope that's good, because I mean that's good also on your side, because I think we do have a good fit. So that's one thing. The second thing I wanted to add about triggers was that we created these triggers also with the scheduling kind of operation, scheduling the functions right internally. And we are, since we joined Red Hat and added the ecosystem of OpenShift integrated better, then the alternative that we had was to use an eventing kind of mechanism like Knative, which is being also supported by Red Hat. So that's another option where we might kind of evolve the triggers, and I was interested to hear.
To interrupt you here, if you would evolve your triggers to Knative eventing, we would be quite happy, because we are planning to using that, or at least trying it out more, because our current pipelines use Kafka as a message base.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
so this would be a real good option for us too, because one other little topic we have with the functions currently is there's no rescheduling of them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that's correct. So I think that was the intention. I mean, we thought whether it makes more sense for us to put some more effort into the eventing and serving kind of levels of how Knative splits that into layers. So sending the events is the kind of thing we will have to integrate to perform, but question is about serving it. So I think that will be a good direction, and it's good to know that you are also interested in that direction. So that's great. Any more comments on that, or do you want to go into the topic and see what we have to discuss here?
So yeah, I can update briefly on what the topic is about, and Patrick and Quentin will just add up to my words if I've missed something. Basically, what we have today is that we have some capabilities of triggers in our namespace NB, and we have some capabilities that are a subset of those in our namespace buckets, which are not namespaces NB, which means namespace merge. And we do not follow fully the convention of S3. So, for example, the convention of S3, it allows you to configure different triggers. For example, object created via put, object created via copy, and more verbosity on that. And we only support just the object creation, object removal, and object reading, but we don't distinguish between the ops, and we also don't distinguish between completion, initiation, and like we don't have this kind of deep dive into the ops with the triggers. We only implement like three basic things, and that's it. So what Patrick and Quentin, what they would like us to do is they would like us to implement more on those triggers and go and deep dive and be as compliant as we can to the S3 API. Basically, what? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think then we talked a little bit opposite directions. Our intention is not to have more available trigger events. So we are fully fulfilled with created, removed, and what was the other in red? So the three you're already providing. We just want them to work on multi-part uploads too. That's our problem currently. Currently, when you do a multi-part upload on a namespace bucket, this won't trigger the function object created. So we do not need a distinction between object put and object multi-part put.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I was basically like trying to solve it by implementing those triggers more compliantly. But yeah, obviously we can patch only the multi-part upload and do that as well, right? But yeah, it can be a step in the way, right?
And
So,
which one do you think, Jenya, that you're saying there's a bigger gap? Because
yes. So as far as I remember from the last time when I've implemented it, I did not implement this thing because I had to create another head on the object in order to get some metadata for the trigger to run. And because of
for what? For the other namespaces, you mean? Namespace
for
S3 and
the other namespaces, yes.
okay.
And because it creates another request to the underlying endpoint, like which is a remote endpoint, for example, a cloud endpoint. So this kind of hurts the performance because every put or every upload of multi-part upload, you will need to do the listing with heads and then the starting the upload and stuff like that. So it kind of hurts the performance, and this is why I did not implement that at first, right? We also did not have many like clients that needed it. So basically, what the people needed back then is just those three basic things, like for puts, for reads, for deletes, and this is what we've implemented. And I just left it as a gap, and this is the issue that I've opened as a gap for this.
I see. So you're saying that the general issue is that it requires another get before put, right? And this applies also for multi-part upload, which is what they're interested in, and I see. Okay. Okay, so it's a good challenge. So yeah, I saw also the comment saying we prefer first functionality-wise that it works if triggers are configured, and with that I fully agree. I mean, if we got to a point where we configured triggers for put on a bucket and this is desirable, I think first of all we need to handle the kind of functional intent and handle it, even if it means we are this kind of advanced workflow, which it is, right? Requires some more knowledge of how to build a system out of it. So I do agree with that, Patrick. I think that's what you meant here.
So just out of curiosity, if we are sorry, Patrick, but Jenya, if we are skipping performance and we are going with a naive approach and doing another head, this reduces the task to be something rather small, right?
Yeah, it should be. I mean, the only thing that is risky about this task is that we'll need to obviously test it. But regards to coding and not implementing the full structure of S3 and be compliant as compliant as you can, just patching it with and leaving the object created and not like this saying that it's yeah, only this quick patch is something that we can do. I assume it wouldn't take much like code in the namespace merge, and it is also risk like there is not a lot of risks, but we will need to obviously test it. So the most work for it is just testing, I assume.
So we are happy to test because we are running it every day currently, but we are using a static size at the moment. So we are patching, we have some patches we are applying to the NooBaa master ourselves. And one of this is that we changed the multi-part method to create the event, but with a static content type and with a static size. So if you, I see the performance impact, but I don't think it's that bad because it's only on an, it should only make this additional calls if there's a function there. So if there's no function on the bucket, there's no performance impact at all. And then you can have some pop-up or something. But at the moment, it was, at first for us, it was like, yeah, this trigger stuff works very fine with namespace buckets. Then we let loose some of our colleagues on the S3 testing it. And then the problems arose when some objects did trigger the function and some did not. It took us some time to figure out that it was the multi-part uploads which were not supported. Because currently there's no documentation which says it doesn't work on multi-part objects on namespace buckets, but on normal buckets it does.
Right. So yeah, the issue is the only documentation there, and it's pretty hard to find. That's correct. Yeah. So yeah, that I agree. I mean, I think that's it's an interesting path that you've been through that, and yeah, I think it certainly is a valuable feedback, and I think it's easy to actually fix, right? It's not something we need to it's not an effort, and yeah, it sounds like a good kind of story that we at least now understand where it fits into, so we can maybe solve it quickly.
I just need to add that this should be, right, in theory, a quick fix and something without risk if we don't do the full support of S3 and compliance to S3. If it's fine for you to leave the object read, object created, object removed, and just make it to work with the namespace buckets on multi-part uploads, like patching it, then it isn't like much of a work. But if you want to move towards like being compliant with the S3, this is something like different, because we will need to do a lot more.
So I think he said it in the beginning, right?
Yeah, we agree on that. So that's yeah, it shouldn't be much work at all. If you obviously use it and test it, so this is like a major plus for us, because we will probably see the problems occur quickly if you take the code immediately and just like run it in your production systems or in your tests. Or
right. So I think we do need to go over the process of putting like the PR and testing from there, and get just the normal process, and then I'm sure it sounds to me that Patrick and Quentin will be happy to try it out when we feel like it's ready, right?
Yeah, I'm really happy about this. It's just another one I can take off my patch list. I have to currently apply to noobaa-core.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's great. Let's go on. We have some more items, so I don't want to complete finish the time on that. Let me jump into the agenda for a second. If Scott is still here, just want to make sure I told him to join. Yeah. Hey, Scott.
Yep, I'm on, Guy. Hi.
Hey. So let me hijack the agenda for a second. I just want to make sure that Scott is still here, and I think also for Patrick and Quentin, I think it will be interesting just to know about it, and then we can follow up. I'm gonna try to limit it to 5-10 minutes, and then we can continue from there. So the story is this: we recently created namespace FS, which is a still work in progress, but it's been tested in various places. So it's been tested on very large scale with multi-gigabytes per second kind of throughput on top of an enterprise file system and things like that. And also, of course, when I tried it out, I used it locally on my local machine file system, and I found that I have two kind of easy steps to get into what I'm writing here, which is to build a standalone NSFS kind of process, which is just like min.io. If you think about it, it's taking any kind of file system as a process that you can just give it a flag saying this is your root, and it runs the namespace FS and the entire REST endpoint stack, and it kind of completes the stack between S3 request and the file system. And of course, there's additional kind of APIs that need to be mapped into a file system, but the entire works of namespace FS will kind of cover these things. So say versioning will be added as we progress with namespace FS, so that versioning operations will be applied to the file system in some translation mode. And when we are looking at more complex file systems that we started looking at, such as GPFS or CFFS, there might be some optimizations there that the file system can do differently. So there might be plugins. So let me share something quickly. I think it will work, but let me reshare because I need to show you my entire screen here. Okay. So ignore for a second that I'm cherry picking here. I'm kind of merging two branches, but I do have a process build, and I'm going to show you what I mean, what I've done here. So what I've taken here is I created a very simple source file to add to our. Let me close it. So created another source file here, and it's pretty small. I mean, it's like 150 lines, and it's pretty much just creating namespace FS, feeding it with some more things that need to be happening here, and then layering it just under the S3 REST operations, so that if I run this and I just get my node to run this, and I hope it will run now, but I'm not completely sure. Probably not, but if I run it, then I will just have a process starting listening. Yeah, so it's in a merge. The good thing was that I also found a very nice package. It's actually called PKG. One second. Oops. It's a Versal PKG or something. And this thing is a single command that you run on your node script, and it just builds it to a binary for Mac and Linux and Windows. So it suddenly becomes a very portable kind of layer that we can take around. But so this is like MinIO. But if I take a look, like a wider look for a second, and I start building more namespaces, which are maybe they are controlled through a configuration file or anything static, which is external to the process, it can suddenly become a sidecar gateway for some processes, or I can make namespace S3 or any type of different namespaces that we want to apply, like a cache. Maybe, and cache needs some more things to happen. But if I look forward, I think it might be a very easy portable solution for places where we just want to bring a namespace capability wrapped up in a container, right? In some very simple way, without and that's when we want to bring it without the entire platform, right? For testing purposes, for POCs, for things like that. I think it's also interesting. So let me show you how this works. I built, I think I built it here. So I have like two binaries, I think, of Mac OS and Linux, which I've built. I hope these are still good to go. And yeah, so that's just starting up on my local host. And for now, I also didn't even configure any, if you see, I didn't even configure any authentication. So basically, I'm allowing anything to happen here. So if I just open this up in my browser, this is doing like an unauthenticated request, anonymous request. And we can even see that we're saying that somewhere here that we're getting anonymous request, right? And since I ran it without any arguments, I am reading local directory. So the current directory is dot, right? That's the default root. And so this is a kind of a list bucket response, right? So we're listing all the folders under the root are considered as buckets, and we can go on, right? So I can start going into a bucket. For example, SRC can be considered a bucket. I can list items under SOC, and I can take a prefix or a delimiter, or do all these prefix. So I'm not sure if everything is completely supported in this version or not. So, but I think I'm showing you something that you can understand what I'm doing. Let me just continue here and just let me show you an object for a second. So that would be an object access. Right, so it's pretty simple from that aspect to use, right? It even works in my browser. It can even work with any kind of SDK tool. And it's pretty portable, it's pretty easy to share, and it's pretty easy, I think, to iterate with if we have namespace kind of ideas to share with one another. So we can prototype it, create a process like that, and I added it to the make file as well. So whenever we want to create another process like that from anything, or we can just run this like that. It's literally the only thing I needed to do, just to tell this tool where to start, and it created a package with everything that it needs inside. And any kind of questions or comments?
Yeah, will the objects in there be there won't be encrypted, will they? So it's just sharing your local file system directly.
Exactly. So I think first of all, if you have a use case where you think encryption can be a use case on top of a file system, first of all, we can certainly think about it. I think client-side encryption is interesting. Yeah.
The other way around, we prefer it's non-encrypted.
Oh, yeah. I see. So your question was whether namespace file system works on a file system unencrypted. So yes, it's like all the other namespaces. It's basically mapping objects directly to the namespace, or that. Our idea about the name, the kind of terminology of namespace was that it's a name resolution kind of service, but it's kind of weak at this point. It's more of a complete gateway mapping for a bucket. So yeah, so it's unencrypted. Okay, so it was showing me the actual files in my source directory right here, right? And if I upload another file, it will just upload it. So I think I have everything set up as well to just show you that.
That's a better use case for us, because we had some data loss issues with the encrypted buckets.
Okay.
So if you store them encrypted and then you lose the secrets in the namespace. So even we even had a backup of the MongoDB, but we weren't able to decrypt the files we had encrypted lying around because the secrets in the namespace were gone. And starting it up with the MongoDB backup wouldn't help.
Was complex, yeah. So right, I can hear the trouble, and that's unfortunate, right? But
so I think maybe if you can provide something, a tool will be probably interesting for others too, which can easily decrypt all encrypted files with a single key, because at the moment it's just impossible to re-decrypt the data if something is lost.
Yeah, so that would be a very, very important forensic tool, or not forensic, but any kind of disaster recovery tool, right? So that if we have the backup of the database and we have a way to get to the data on the cloud or on the PVs, I'm not sure which one. Oh, so you use the cloud today. You use namespace, that's for sure. And locally, do you use any other medium for storage?
Not currently, no.
Okay, so all your storage, so you don't have any storage locally in your data center? Basically, that's kind of the model?
Currently we are working with Minnow in cluster. So we are doing this. If this feature you got half a year ago, we would gladly take it. But currently we are getting a central object store for our company. And this will also be Minnow, but with support, with commercial support, and then we'll have this as a backend. So currently we do not have an use case for this, but if you make this, I'm pretty sure you can make a good you will be a good enemy for Minnow because you are having much features people are missing in Minnow. For example, like functions in the gateway mode. This is something Minnow doesn't have, and the complete user interface. That's also something Minnow doesn't support or provide.
Yeah, so I think from so I agree. I think first of all, I think Minnow is doing a great job. I think their simplicity starting from this direction has been like proven itself very well. And I think we always came from the platform kind of model where you configure your platform and create more policies and set it up for a kind of an operated system. And I think from that perspective, we are currently, we have more assets ready in that space. And I think the other side of, using file system, I think it's something we just had low hanging enough for us so that it's easy to also be useful for us. So I think, first of all, it's good. It's great. It's a great opportunity there. And it's good to hear that this is something that you're using, and you're planning to use it on top of file system storage, basically, or with mapping to like with MinIO with gateway mode, or with not gateway mode. I forgot how they call it.
Minnow we are using as the same as you just showed. Just to we have an NFS volume where we create the files. So where we are backing them up, and we are accessing Minnow via NooBaa.
Got it. Okay. Okay, very interesting. So that's that, and that was just to show you that you can do other things and maybe upload a file here, and it's the same. I hope it works still, but we'll see. Just upload something. Should probably get uploaded here, and probably get uploaded right here. Yeah. So it's basically just operating on the file system. So it's very compliant with the file system until we kind of add more plugins for things, and that's it on that. More questions, or are we jumping to the next topic? Anything on chat? Yeah, of course. Yeah, problems are everyone's shares. So
yeah, the major problem was we couldn't at first track it down if it was a NooBaa issue or if it was a Minnow issue. At the end, it were 3 Minnow issues.
Yeah. I mean, it's a complex stack as well, right? So we're stacking more components for storage and data management, and it's becoming more complex. And I think unfortunately we're not. Each of the different technologies have gaps, and it's not that one can satisfy everything. So we are still kind of in the process of building it better, right?
Yeah. So one thing I just came across in my mind, where do you store the metadata?
Yeah, so metadata, custom metadata will be translated for default, will be translated to extended attributes. That's the initial plan, but there was also discussions with file system experts on sizes and whether this should be spilled over to something else, or extended attributes will spill it. I don't know. It really comes down to dependency. The requirements from the usage perspective, the application, how much custom metadata is really stored versus how much the file system is really ready to store in the attributes. And I think we in our layer should just be very opportunistic to provide better experiences. So like if we can sense that this file system has more space, we can use it, or things like that. So I think we should just like we do for any other type of storage, we want to abstract the changes and get the functionality across different solutions, right? So that's the goal, at least, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a done feature, but it's being actively in active design, and I'm about to push this PR now I'm working on merging all the changes from different branches, and then I hope you can guys try it. Just it will be very simple. I hope it will be appealing as well. So.
Can't guarantee you anything if we will try it, because in like 1 or 2 weeks our central storage should be here, then everything changes.
Yeah, okay.
But I think you really should follow on this. I really see a good opportunity in this to get a bigger market share for NooBaa.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions, or what guys want to follow on to the next topics? Okay, I think we can. Let me go back to the document. Oops. Okay, so KMS Vault integration. Jenny, Romy, do you guys want to mention this?
Yeah, sure. Romy, do you wanna speak about it?
Yeah, I'll talk about it. Sure. So as you may know, currently working on the secret inclusion effort, and soon I'll start work on the Vault integration for keeping our root key. So as preparation, we start discussing on how we would like to keep the connection details to Vault. We discussed about 2 options. The first one was to create a config map and a secret and link it to our CRDs, NooBaa or a different CRD, new one. Or the other option was to store the actual values of the token or the other fields of the connection directly in our CRD. So so far, it seems that we tend to choose the first one. Yeah, we wanted to bring it up if someone else want to share his thoughts or suggest a better solution. Yeah.
I'd say the first question is if you use today KMS or plan to use, and if you have any maybe opinion on how this might be easier than other ways. And,
I would like to say something. I would just like to repeat what I already wrote on Slack. Every time we add something to the public interface, even a section of our CR, when we deploy it together with OCS, this means also adding some code inside OCS operator to reconcile it, because we are not customer facing. OCR is not customer facing. We are just reconciling it for the other side. So whatever we choose, it will be best if we can at least optionally minify or like take the minimum mean change to do on that side.
But why is it so relevant? I mean, why does it matter that much? Can you explain what does it matter if OCS operator reconciles the CRD anyway, the CR anyway?
Okay, even think about it even from another side. Let's not speak about OCS directly, because this is one client of NooBaa. Yeah, let's think about other client of NooBaa. Mm-hmm. If we can minimize for the most usual case, if we can minimize the footprint of change for default deployments, it will be easy. So I'm also thinking that we should be able to say as much as we can explicitly, meaning giving the names and giving the name of the secret, but we should also decide, I don't know how, maybe arbitrary, or some default naming convention that we expect to use as default.
Is it important, you think? Is it really critical for us?
Help in configurations.
But if we don't, so let's say we don't, what will happen? Let's play the game of what happens if we drop it from.
I don't want to speak on all customers of the CR, but OCS specifically, This means for us to support more code inside OCS operator side. But this is a downstream.
No, but what do you mean more code? The code will anyhow need to create this secret and configure it, right? So there will have to be some configuration happening in the operator.
Inside an OCS environment, the secret will be created in any case, even if there was no NooBaa at all. It's not a NooBaa problem. It's an integration with Vault problem, let's call it. I want to minimize the changes we need to do in order to support NooBaa with that deployment.
I don't know if minimizing the the field in the spec really makes it better. That's my kind of concern. That by not specifying that and making that a documentation effort, I don't feel like it helps the user perspective.
I think you're missing my point a little. I don't want to make it a documentation effort. I want it to be as
implicit.
As implicit for the
implicit means it will be documented somewhere, and the person interacting with that implicit feature will have to learn that this implicit feature is in force, is being applied.
Or to use the explicit mode in this case. It's just the best practice they do with everything inside Kubernetes. When you want to create a route, for example, let's take it as an example, the implicit mode will be, it will generate a host name for you with his convention, but you explicitly can say, okay, no, I want another host. So my thinking is that the implicit mode
can we generate these things? Because if we can generate it, why are we? I don't think it's comparable the same way. So I understand what you're asking. You're saying there should be defaults which allow it to be configurable easier. I agree, but I'm not sure that not naming something versus naming it, where it still is the same configuration, you still need to have the secret created. It has to have a certain format of keys in order to work. So everything about it is not it's not that implicitly there is any standard that will make it work for many other use cases or any, I don't know, it sounds very specific.
I disagree with you just because even in the route case, somebody had to deploy the cluster with a name. You just move the duplication of specifying it every time. If somebody already deployed OCS with, for example, or wherever will deploy NooBaa in an environment where they already did the work and they already specified a name, if we could use that name instead of making them reinsert it inside our CR just to link it, it will be better.
Why? What's better about it?
It's less, because you can get less inconsistencies with the stuff.
Why? You get more inconsistencies by not specifying, not less.
Well, I'll just say take whatever the environment gives you. I don't know how the environment will specify it yet, but it is possible.
I at least my initial reaction is that we're not gaining much. It's like minimizing somewhere where I'm not sure we're getting something back. It's a configuration that should be simple, I sense. I don't think we should overcomplicate it.
I think the most simple configuration is just say NooBaa, start using Vault, and that's it. This is the most basic.
With which configuration?
So I think we should do some effort.
If it's inline, then it's clear. If it's external to the CRD, I mean inline in the CRD. If it's external to the CRD, using named, I don't know. Does anybody have any more like an strong opinion about using named prefixed names versus spec?
What happens if you wanna connect to multiple vaults or multiple KMSs, not specifically just Vault? So then you start, if you use specific names, you get what? You start counting them and have 1, 2, 3 at the end, or I mean, for the one it might work, but if we are looking at the future adding more, I don't know.
You mean adding more connected?
Yeah, but in this case, you need a different CR because you have a one-to-many relationship. not a one-to-one relationship anymore.
No, maybe. I mean, if we are looking at a use case like that.
Yeah, so like we've stated with Romy, the first part of what we've said that we will just link the config map and secret in the CR. We did not like limit ourselves to the NooBaa CR. We've said that we can obviously add a separate encryption or like KMS capability CR. And this CR will be robust enough for us to configure multiple KMSs, multiple like stuff like that. So,
but I don't think that every feature requires a CR. It doesn't really make sense. CRD. I mean.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not what we're trying to do. We can extend the functionality and change and make upgrades and convert the specs if we need between versions, even on a spec. We don't have to have more types. I think more types mean that we are adding a whole new API, and that I think it's a bigger thing.
So the question is, should we just leave it in the NooBaa CR or add a whole new type? Because it's not just like a simple like. I think this feature should have its representation because it is something that is crucial, and it isn't like a very small niche or component, of course.
But even if you do that, this representation is only a link to another representation. You don't add anything of substance. Let's think about the CR that represents it. Basically, it will just have two links to two different places. You can also do an array. You don't need to put a different CR for it. But my question is more basic. Let's say you have multiple KMS or multiple vaults, whatever. How does NooBaa decides what to use? I'm not sure we covered that even.
No, but internally we do. We have master keys, and we manage master keys and we store them, right? And what Nimrod is saying, I think, is that if we want to accept multiple, I'm not sure exactly what's the use case for multiple, but if we don't want to limit ourselves to one in any way.
What I heard when you are talking about multiple KMSs, it's mostly about multi-tenancy and each tenant. So a subset of the buckets are connected to a certain vault, and then a subset of or you know what? Maybe not even different vaults, but different service accounts or accounts within the vault.
Yeah, the different configuration for that.
Okay, so in this case, you need to name them because nobody needs to understand which one it uses for what. So now you have a name on top on each of them. It's not only these references. So okay, you can do that. You can do an array of this structure, of a structure that reference with a name. And I still hold the fact that if nothing is provided, maybe a default one will be best. I'm not sure.
Okay. Jenny and Romy, I hope you got valuable feedback. I don't know if Patrick and Quentin have anything to add. I think it will be very valuable. If not, I think we are guessing as much as we can about where this is going to go. I think, yeah, Patrick.
So I'm not quite sure what this feature should bring. So what do you want to save in the vault? So
the feature is to all the data today is encrypted, right? So we keep so not with namespace buckets, right? Data is encrypted, but we had a gap, and this is needed to close the gap. That we wanted to have the entire secrets being in the database be encrypted at rest. So that means that we want all the encryption keys themselves in the database be encrypted with a master key thing, and have a way to store the master keys in a KMS, in a management system for keys, so that we have one master key. Let's say one, right? Where we are adding now more use cases for multiple, but say one master key will encrypt all the secrets in the database. For example, it will be encryption keys, but in another use case for namespaces, it will be also the connections secrets. So if you have your cloud credentials stored, it will be encrypted, and the master key will be stored in Vault.
Mhm.
So that's the feature, to have all secrets, database secrets, encrypted at rest, okay, with KMS. So and the sort of actually, I think the question is less about what the feature is, which actually might be a very good question as well, if relevant for you. But the question was how it makes sense, more sense to be configured. But it sounds to me like it's very small. It's mostly technicalities of how to represent CRDs and references to configurations of other subsystems, things like that, which is kind of a generic kind of question, not specific to Vault.
So if you have, so you probably will have the connection to the vault in a secret or
Yeah.
to KMS.
Well,
So
exactly.
I think I can see both sides. I don't think this will really matter at all. So
Yeah.
if you have the documentation, so if there's no secret and there's a default one, it will just fail and say no, it's not there. So okay. And if it's configured, yeah, I don't.
It's
I can
not.
see
It's not
both sides.
material. Yeah. Both
Yeah,
can
I think it's.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's quite irrelevant if this is if you have a standard name for it, it can make sense. But like with access key secrets, you normally have this ABS underscore access underscore key and such things. These are the norms. So yeah, I don't think it will really matter.
Okay, that's good input. Yeah.
So if you're putting, what vault are you talking about? Is it HashiCorp vault?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, nice. We are using that too.
Yeah. So yeah, you'd be able to use that and move. So not move, but put the master keys in Vault so that you have your chain secured from that side.
Yeah, it would also be nice if you could put the access keys and secret keys into the vault because we are currently using a mechanism to retrieve them from the vault. So, but at the moment we are inserting them manually. So if you could make it that the access keys and secret keys are saved to the vault, we would be like,
So this is interesting.
really happy.
Okay, so this is interesting. So you're saying that from your perspective, the cloud credentials are stored in Vault itself, like the actual credentials, right?
Yeah, the access keys and secret keys we are storing in our vault.
I see. And then you have integrations from different applications that pull these that get Vault token or some way of connecting to Vault, and they pull it, or is that something that is rarely done by applications?
We pull them. It's really done manually. We are using a customized plugin to retrieve them from the vault, and then we create secrets with this.
Ah, I see. Okay, now I understand the model. So you basically have them in Vault as permanent storage, but when you deploy workloads, you pull them into secrets.
Yeah, we always have we pull them into secrets, but this is done dynamically using GitOps. So if we update the vault, then we also will update the secret.
Got it. That's very nice. Okay, so this is actually not exactly what we were chasing because we didn't plan specifically to put these to integrate the location of these cloud credentials to Vault. That was not our initial intent, but I think this is actually great feedback that this is how you use it. So cloud credentials are actually stored in Vault, right?
Yeah. So we create the account manually and then copy paste them to the Vault. Currently, I'm just working on something that will automate this too, but it would be nice if NooBaa could do this out of the box.
First of all, this is the first time we kind of hear about this. I think it will be great to hash it a little bit in the team, see if there's any similarities with other requirements around key management. Right, Nimrod? Can you take it with Iran maybe, or the PM, and just to understand how they look at it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's great.
Also,
That's great.
I also have a question regarding if you are using Vault and if you are already familiar with it. Do you know what storage driver do you use on Vault?
Oh, sorry, I'm not the one operating it. I don't have any idea.
Okay, cool. Okay, because we are planning to support connectivity using the default storage driver, which is the KV storage driver. So I was just wondering if you are using any other drivers. We would also like to get more information on what our clients or customers are using and what are the use cases and why, and just like more info on that. Thanks.
You're welcome.
So we have 1 minute left. I think it's a good time to wrap up. Even it's not that we have any time, but I think it's Patrick and Quentin. I think it's been really helpful for us. So we really appreciate you joining us for this hour, and we really hope we can provide back value for your projects. So let's keep the channel communication channel open. I think it's fruitful. So feel free to join our meetings as well if you ever interested in just tracking or asking specific questions. We continue this weekly.
Yeah, I'm very happy with this. This solves so much problems for us. So I'm for sure will be here more often.
Okay, so I got some interference here. Okay, guys. So let's wrap up. Thank you very much, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.